New parks coming to West Orange, the county revisiting their tree ordinance, how a local elementary school teacher faced cancer, and MLK in his own words. The date is January 12th, 2023. We're going to go through these stories and more. Welcome to West Orange on the Go. My name is Austin Arthur, and this is where we do local news and comment. And when I say local news, I mean hyper-local. West Orange. This is your news. We begin in 10 seconds.
You're listening to West Orange on the Go. Brought to you by the West Orange Times and Observer. Hosted by Austin Arthur. West Orange on the Go.
2 simple stormwater retention ponds are being given new life in the city of Ocoee as work crews put the final touches on the Healthy West Orange Wellness Park. Construction is 90% complete at the 5-acre park. Landscapers planted palm trees around the perimeter of the water last week, and now they're adding native plants this week. So be on the lookout for this new, beautiful wellness park opening up in Ocoee very soon. And that is not the only new park on its way to West Orange County. The Horizon West Regional Park is already mapped out, and a groundbreaking will take place this summer. The park will sit on 215 acres and will have an indoor and outdoor performance area, tennis and pickleball courts, baseball and softball fields, and multi-purpose fields, among other things. Now, this park is going to be a massive, and I really mean massive project, a major undertaking that will be well worth it. Really quite a huge park. Now, these things take time, though, you know. In fact, I remember, I think it was 2019 when former Orange County Commissioner Betsy Vanderlei revealed the concept initially. You know, and that's already been several years. And we are still several years away, probably, from enjoying this great new park. I think it's going to be done in 4 different phases, if I'm not mistaken. But we're looking forward to it and seeing it move forward. All right, now in other county-level news, after 2 previous work sessions, Orange County Commission heard a proposed framework for a new tree preservation ordinance. The county's current tree ordinance was adopted in 2001, and the previous ordinance before that was 1985. Now, in this week's paper, it's all laid out. No decisions are finalized yet, but the idea is to tighten up the tree ordinance to help preserve more of our trees, our beautiful trees, throughout the whole county. Municipalities, they have their own ordinances. Winter Garden, Ocoee, Oakland, Windermere, they all have the ability to make a tree ordinance, but the county can take it a step further even, potentially, to kind of set a bare minimum standard throughout the county, especially in the unincorporated areas. You know, Windermere has been cited to have a very powerful ordinance in place. In this week's paper, there's a little infographic that you can take a look at and get some comparisons there to see what other counties and municipalities are doing with their tree ordinances. So it will be interesting to follow this and see what the county does with regard to preserving our trees. All right, and a new tradition is picking up speed in Horizon West. Hamlin is set to host the first Cruise In event. That is this Saturday, January 14th, at the parking garage between Ford's Garage and the big movie theater down there. Now, the first Hamlin Cruise-In will be a 1950s themed event for cars and trucks between 1950 and 1979. In addition to a large showcase of classic cars, the event will feature DJ entertainment from Renee Adams. Now, she's a great gal. We go way back. I know Renee. She's awesome. They're going to have some food trucks there and kids' activities and all kinds of fun stuff down in the great area of Horizon West. So I encourage you to check that out if you have time. That's 4 p.m. this Saturday. Christy Wilkinson knew she had an increased chance of developing breast cancer. Her mother had the disease at the age of 38. So Wilkinson performed routine self-checks and was diligent about getting annual mammograms. At Wilkinson's appointment last January, though, doctors discovered she, too, had breast cancer. It was detected early, and she had a double mastectomy in March. But it was then that doctors discovered cancer in her lymph nodes. This meant she had to have chemotherapy and radiation. The 44-year-old Westbrook Elementary School teacher was prepared mentally for the surgery, but it was difficult to accept she had to endure the additional treatments. To make matters worse, she developed an infection 2 weeks after the surgery and spent a week in the hospital. In the fall, Wilkinson eventually told her second graders that she had cancer, and they had many questions, she said. She had been wearing a wig. It was uncomfortable. She preferred to wear a scarf instead. She said, quote, "I told the kids in my class that I don't have any hair. It was positive. I told them I was doing good, that I was not going to die." Now, there is a compelling piece in this week's paper written by the great Amy Questenberry, and I encourage you to get the paper this week and read that piece. You can do so by the big red boxes all around town, also at orangeobserver.com. Orangeobserver.com, you can read the full newspaper, the digital version. All right, so I encourage you to do that. But what I would like to do is I'd like to get right into the final page at this time. There's lots of great stories this week that you can check out every week. Remember, the paper comes out on Thursday. It's hyperlocal, all West Orange. But this weekend is very important. It's MLK Day. I hope to see you in the Winter Garden and Ocoee. Both are having events. I hope to see you at one of them. You may have time to attend both, but the unfortunate thing is that both of their parades start at 10 a.m., so you got to choose on that one. Now, I will be at the Winter Garden Parade. As a matter of fact, I will be in the Winter Garden MLK Day Parade with some other wonderful folks. So please consider to come on out and try to go to both if you can. Like I said, the Winter Garden one, I understand, has a tribute to the late and incredible Pastor Anthony Hodge, a Winter Garden native who was loved by so many, impacted so many in the community, and he used to recite MLK speeches, and he would do it on MLK Day with the city. I remember last year he did it before his passing. But he would recite these by memory. It was really, really incredible. So they'll be doing something for him, which will be great. All right, but yes, Monday is MLK Day. That is to say, it is the day that we honor a great man who was called Martin Luther King Jr., a man that understood the solutions we seek in terms of race relations and past sins surrounding the same topic. You know, I kind of narrow down MLK's philosophy on the subject, his solutions, really in three categories. Number one was God. Number two was nonviolence. And number three, equality. You know, faith is really, it's really everything. To realize we were created. And one man is not better than the other. That takes you to nonviolence Violence was not the answer then, and it's not the answer now. And yes, equality. Equality is what we need. Not this new stuff people just invented out of nowhere, these new terms that we are constantly told are the way, the path. These new terms they use to try and replace the word equality. They create impossible standards so that division will continue on and on. And those who profit from the division, whether it be power or money, well, through those new standards that they create out of nowhere, that are ever changing, and an anathema to all logic, well, that grows their power, their wealth, as they profit, and we, the people, are left feeling angry and confused and divided. No, I don't subscribe to newthink. I will go always with what Dr. Martin Luther King said. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I am going to close by reading some excerpts from MLK's final speech. At the time, he was getting these injunctions placed upon them to try to stop him, try to stop his progress and his message. He'd go from the various states and communities that were dealing with these horrible laws. Let's go to that speech. Now, about injunctions. We have an injunction, and we're going to go into court tomorrow to fight this illegal, unconstitutional injunction. All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they hadn't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for right. And so just as I say, we are not going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around. We aren't going to let any illegal injunction turn us around. We are going on. We need all of you. And you know what's beautiful to me is to see all these ministers of the gospel. It's a marvelous picture. Who is it that's supposed to articulate the longings and aspirations of the people more than the preacher? Somehow the preacher must have a kind of fire shut up in his bones. And whenever injustice is around, he telleth. Somehow the preacher must be an Amos and saith, when God speaks, who can but prophesy? And again with Amos, let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. Somehow the preacher must say with Jesus, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me. And he's anointed me to deal with the problems of the poor. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop, and I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountaintop. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm so happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And those were MLK's final words on this earth. He was murdered the next day. Don't let anybody lie to you about the true civil rights movement in this country. Do not let anybody lie to you about equality. As I always say, if you want to know the truth, if you want to know what really occurred in the history of mankind, go to original sources. MLK made it very clear. God, nonviolence, equality. This has been Austin Arthur with the West Orange Times and Observer. And until next week, have a happy, blessed weekend.
West Orange on the Go is brought to you by the West Orange Times and Observer. Hosted by Austin Arthur. West Orange on the Go.